Okay, less than a year ago, well, maybe a little over a year ago, we were here for the Trump event. And what's happening in Pennsylvania and throughout the country is just interesting because since that time, now President-elect Trump, or candidate Trump, then President Trump, what I learned in the field is that, well, let's just say, being on this job or learning more about the election process here locally, having done videos in the past, the things that are on the street, what's going on in the street is that people are hearing about the increase of cigarette tax, the increase of gas tax. In Pennsylvania, there's a competitive wage. The problem is we're not making the money. We're not cashing in. We're not making lick. What I'm talking about this October is domestic violence. How domestic violence is reverberating in our communities. How it's destroying homes and families. Turning to the state and having written letters to the representatives, I understand the seriousness of this problem because we just recently have reported several incidents where families have been relocated or dislocated or even estranged. Because of the ongoing problem of domestic violence, recently a report from Erie, Girard, Ohio, where a police officer was killed in an ambush. And what I'm trying to tell that average person's asking, well, why can't we go home to a home instead of living in a motel? Why can't we turn to the shelters? I like to ask the same question because we've written letters. We've asked for that help. And right now, many of us have not returned back to work. Many of us have not been in attendance at important events. If we don't get the response we need, then it'll be you next and it'll be someone else next. And that's why I'm bringing to attention about what's happening in the women's shelters throughout the western Pennsylvania. A lot of women's shelters have turned us away for help. And here's the thing about the women's shelters. We have written letters. And if they're not going along with the liberal agenda, they're not going to get the funds. And that is the problem. See, at the state level, they have a responsibility called auditing and accountability. And if accountability is not used properly, people are using our funds and they're raising money for relief that there's no accountability. This has been an ongoing problem. That's why they do an audit. That's why when we're watching many of the reports from Senator Rand Paul about audits, you know, it wasn't only just a couple months ago, there was a shooting involving a representative, Steve Scalise. We were talking about a really important topic. So if this isn't the issue, then what is? The sexual abuse of children and families and relocating families and the Planned Parenthood issue, these issues matter to the people. And taxing the people, putting a squeeze on the people is the issue. Here in Pennsylvania, this is one of the problems. We were here at Wright Fieldhouse where President Trump had come and rallied with the people. This area has been depressed for a long period of time. This is where opportunity begins. Many of these families, they rely heavily on their students and the fact that these kids can do well in school. We want to see our families thrive and survive and do well. It doesn't have to be a political message either. This doesn't have to be this can be a bipartisan concern for every person on every side of the aisle. I don't make these issues political. But a lot of people politicize things. When there's a war, I don't want to hear about politicizing. Just now, recently, with the update on Bergdahl, you know, we could tell you about what happened to Lieutenant Behenna when he was incarcerated at Fort Lex. See, the thing is, I know the issue, but we've had interruption after interruption. Michael Behena, Lieutenant Michael Behena, was incarcerated while Bergdahl was ratting out his own people. I worked in U.S. Army JAG. At the end of the day, I want to know my team has my back and that our search teams don't die. That's why this case involving Bergdahl is important, because it's another example. If they go lightly on that, that means they can give anyone else a pass. Okay, this is not about favoritism. I mean, I wish there was a lot of people I liked and didn't like. I mean, it's not about that. If our search team, if a military search team goes missing and dead because Bergdahl decided he was going to go against company orders and the things he was trained to do. If Bergdahl does the right thing, he does the right thing. But that's not the case. Our search team died looking for Bergdahl. Search teams have died. So we have to protect the search teams. We have to protect our team. That comes first. Because Bergdahl was the one that literally was going AWOL. He walked away from a base. He walked away against company commander's orders. He did his own thing. He wasn't on the same team. So when Bergdahl decides to do what he wants to do, I mean, he made his own decision. He did it without even consulting chain of command. From what I understand, that's what happened. And from what I understand, what I've learned about Bergdahl's case is that, yeah, under certain circumstances, Bergdahl would have given some kind of award. But that is not what happened. On the ground, you get an Article 13 when you walk away from your commander and your team. When your team dies on the field, that's a different story. That changes the whole game. Our team on the ground means something. Our crew means something. And if what happens to our crew, that's the whole thing that you learn from day one of basic training is your ranger buddy is your ranger buddy. You help your ranger buddy. That's it. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's about your team and it's about your ranger buddy, and that's how we survive. I served at Fort Dix. I served at a different capacity in Sawmill Run. I served in Erie. If I'm a medic and I'm lost without my team and I don't have medical supplies, and we confront an injury or confront a situation, and President Trump has authorized an executive order where we have to jump in, we need our team. We need our team. We need our team to be home and safe. At the end of the day, everybody else goes home and safe, and our veterans are out here on the street. That's my report. If people don't care about their veterans, then they'll understand why we're in the situation we're in. Because we need to start looking out for each other, whether it's your veterans or your neighbor.